Okay. It is our hope, and I only say hope, that this will actually be online later this week on our website, swnews4u.com. So hopefully, if the technology works, people will be able to watch this before the election. Moving along, our next question, we'll start with Nate. The Grant County Jail has been inspected by the state and found to be deficient in several areas. What changes do you believe need to be made to the jail, and what role will you play in making those changes?
Well, there's been numerous conversations over the years, probably the past decade and a half or so, on what we should do with the jail, because the main part of the jail was built in '57, the back part was built in '83, and when they built the back section in '83, it was actually 10 years out of date by design. Linear design was out of date already in '83 when it was built. So we're way behind the times on this facility. And it's starting to show its age, very much so. The last jail inspection talked about painting issues, graffiti, different things like that back in the jail. So we need to definitely keep moving forward. Now, last year, or a little over a year ago, there was a plan kind of developed that talked about remodeling the back section of the jail. And when we looked at that, it was very good on paper. It looked good. And it would address the needs that are given each time in the jail inspection report. However, what it was missing was the rest of the building. And we have heating, ventilation problems, we have other office space issues, those kind of things in the rest of the building. So it neglected that part of it, because we were really focused on the jail report and what we could fix there. So once that was kind of shut down because they went towards the courthouse project, the chief deputy said, well, let's put together this ad hoc committee of people from social services, because they have building issues out there. The highway department, they have building issues as well. So let's bring everybody together, let's start talking about this and see which direction we want to go. So we started to do that, and the county board supervisors, some of them said, no, we don't want to go that direction. We don't want an ad hoc committee. We want it to go back in front of the administrative committee at the county level, because those are the people that need to plan for the future of county properties. So it did, and they met in June of this year. So the discussion is still being had on a regular basis by the administrative committee, talking about the jail and what the needs are, in addition to the other building needs of the county. Because I know there's folks here that work in the social services building that are here tonight, and they can tell you horror stories of that building. So not only, we have a high liability, there is, at the jail, because we have some issues that need to be addressed, but countywide they have other issues too. And that's why the county board stepped up and said, hey, we want it back at the administrative committee level, because we're the ones that handle that kind of thing. We want to move forward with it. And they talked about this on the June 10th meeting, and they're going to the extension, UW Extension, to work with Todd Johnson to start planning for the future of building projects within Grant County. So it's still here. Active role, I will be very active in that, because we need to make sure that we keep moving forward on this. And it is at the county level, at one of the committee levels, and I will be at the meetings talking with them about how we need to continue moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, Ed.
Well, first of all, the administrative committee level, let's give it to these people who have no idea what they're talking about. It doesn't make any sense to me. This issue of jail improvement has to be led by the sheriff's department. The county board can bounce it back from committee to committee if they want, but the discussion has to be had internally. There are a lot of issues there. We know that. It's been discussed throughout this campaign cycle. I differ with Nate a little bit on how extensive we should be right now. All of our concern areas are in our intake area, from the port, the jail office, booking room. That area needs to be addressed. However, the cell blocks, we just did a $200,000 lock upgrade there. We just fixed all the food passes. There's still a little life left there. It's not the ideal situation. Modern corrections, or best correctional practices, say go to pod-style direct supervision dorms. This is linear construction. However, the problem we have right now is whether or not we should be building a comparable facility of 60, 70 beds, Or should we build a 120-bed facility? We don't know. We can't see into the future. So with the life that we have left in those linear cell blocks, why don't we utilize it? Why don't we wait 5, 10 years? Let's do what we need to do now. Do it so it can be expanded upon, and maybe we'll get a better look at what the future's gonna bring.
Okay. That brings up a couple of questions about county government specifically, because obviously the county board has a role in this. So I'll start with this. Does the sheriff's office work well with the county board in your experience, or vice versa, or not? We'll start with that.
I think so. The county board, they're not full-time except for the county board chairman. The county board needs information to make decisions, and it's our job to give them that information. I think if we do our jobs properly and give them the correct information, then they act on it. If they keep doing stuff like this and they're not getting the proper information, when I say stuff like this, I mean handing a project like this off from one committee to the other. That's where somebody needs to step in and say, this isn't gonna work like this. But I think we have a good working relationship, and I would definitely wanna keep or maintain a very good working relationship with the county board.
Okay, Nate.
I agree, we do have a good working relationship, I think, with the board. I mean, I meet monthly with the law enforcement committee, which includes 7 of the county board, including the county board chair. If we talk about, you know, how to work with them in the future, and you had reference to, well, the sheriff's office needs to be the lead role in a project. Well, we don't really have the budget for that, okay? Who runs the money at the county level? The county board supervisors do. They're the ones that are in control of that. So they're the ones that need to lead on this with advisement from the sheriff and the jail administrator as well. Because I think it's important that the jail administrator be part of those talks as well. So, you know, again, we differ on that because I feel it is the county board's responsibility. You guys elect them into that spot to make sure that things are taken care of on a county level. They provide me with a budget so that I can provide good public safety to you and provide a safe and secure jail. And if we need to make improvements on that, we've told them over and over what they are. They are the ones that need to act on that. And I will be right there with them, helping them make a good, solid decision on where we need to go.
Okay. From the county board, we go to the courthouse. And this is a question I'm asking because of feedback I've gotten in the past, from other law enforcement officials. So here's the question. Do the Grant County District Attorney's Office and Grant County judges work well with the Sheriff's Office in your experience or not? We'll start with Nate.
Yes, they do. You know, we work well with them on a day-to-day basis with the DA's office and the judges. The bigger question I think that people a lot of times ask is, well, you as law enforcement, are you happy with the outcome of the cases as they go through the judicial system? And there are times that we're not. You know, guys work hard on a case, guys and gals work hard on the case, and then something happens at the end and we might not agree with it. But that is not our job. Our job is to go out, investigate the case, provide the best case that we can to the district attorney and hand it off to them and let them take the ball and run with it. And then the judges from there decide what to do with the case. So I feel that our officers, our deputies in our sheriff's office do a fantastic job in putting their cases together and presenting them to the DA. We work well with them. They talk about these cases, they send stuff back and forth to make improvements on the case and do some extra investigating. But the end result of whatever happens to the case, you know, that's out of our hands. We can only do our part to make sure that we put forth the best case that we can to the district attorney's office so that they can prosecute it properly and the judges can make a good solid decision on it. So in summation, I believe we have a good working relationship with the judges and the DA.
Okay, yeah.
I absolutely agree. We do. The judges and district attorneys, they're attorneys, they know what they're doing. They've been trained to do that job. We can sit back and critique what they do, but it doesn't make any difference. And I don't know why we would. I sit through a lot of those cases. As jail administrator, one of my jobs is to make sure that inmates and prisoners are brought in for court proceedings, whether they be in other states or in the prison system. I watch these cases. I watch them from start to finish. I've sat through a lot of sentencings. And I think for the vast majority of the time, they get it right. Whether we like it or not, they get it right.
Okay. This next question is sort of tied to that, but there have been proposals over the last couple of years to combine Grant County Dispatch and City of Platteville Dispatch. Those proposals haven't been going anywhere recently, but there's a possibility they could in the future. So do you favor or oppose combining Platteville and Grant County Dispatch? We'll start with that.
Whether I favor it or oppose it is neither, I guess. I know other jurisdictions have combined dispatch services in the past. Works out well for them. Would it work out well here? I don't know. What I do know is it's not a county issue. That is a Platteville, City of Platteville issue. They have to make that choice. I would not want to get involved in that decision-making process until they come to me and say, we've made our decision, we're giving it up. Then we'll get involved with it.
Okay, Nate.
Well, I think, I've sat in on some of the discussions with the city council over the last couple of years on this very issue. And it's kind of unique because in one aspect, I think the city of Platteville residents deserve to have their own dispatch, because not only is it, 10,000 people plus all the students that come in every year, they've got 2 police departments and a very active EMS unit and fire department, as well as all the public works and stuff like that comes through the dispatch center. So I think it's important that the citizens have that. We had a discussion about this, and I do think that when this comes up again, it is not simply just a City of Platteville issue. It has to be discussed with the county, because somebody has to incur the cost. The city, what we came up with is that, the City of Platteville can't just get rid of the dispatch without incurring some cost, and the county's going to incur some cost as well when that happens. So we need to make sure that when this comes to light again, which it may, that we sit down and we have good discussions like we did over the last year, some work groups that we did together, and had some good healthy discussions about what the pros and the cons are of doing it. Are there some cons for us at the sheriff's office? Absolutely there is, because it opens the door for some different grants and different things like that. But from a citizen perspective, having the 2 dispatch centers better serves the citizens of Grant County, because we back up each other, and that's the biggest part. You take the June 16th tornado. If it would have come through this part of town, caused damage to the dispatch center, we would have provided the dispatch service up at the sheriff's office. Vice versa. We get something happen in Lancaster, they're going to back us up down here. So I think it's important that we have these 2 entities here, because that provides the best communications for public safety here in Grant County.
Okay, let's shift gears to a different kind of area, kind of a general one, but this should get some interesting answers. Question, we'll start with Nate. Is crime increasing in southwest Wisconsin? And if that's the case, what should law enforcement be doing now that it's not?
Okay. If you look at, you look at the numbers, and I'm taking strictly numbers that are produced by our records management system at the sheriff's office. So these are solid numbers that are input by the deputies out on patrol in the cases that they investigate. Everything kind of has an ebb and flow to it. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. I mean, we had a spike here a year and a half, 2 years ago, burglaries, thefts, those kind of things, turns out directly related to the heroin increase into our county. Now that we kind of took care of that, that's kind of dropped. So it kind of comes and goes. And would I say we have a significant crime problem in Grant County? Absolutely not. That's why we live here. That's why we live here in Grant County, because the crime rate is, relatively low. It's unfortunate that every now and then we do have a very horrific crime that occurs, such as the one that happened here, a few months back here in Platteville. So it's unfortunate that happens. But overall, we still live in a very safe part of the country. And we as law enforcement, we work hard every day out there on the streets to try and make sure that stays that way.
Okay, Ed.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Nate. You can't rely on these numbers. They go up and down. You can have a burglary ring come through Platteville and look at your numbers after that, and they're going to be increased. Once they get arrested or move on, they're going to drop. Law enforcement is law enforcement. We live in a rural area. There's people that have cabins out in the woods they get broke into. We have underage drinking and everything else that goes with it. I cannot sit here and say whether or not crime is going up and down, but what I can say, I think fairly confidently, is that if it is going up a little bit right now, at some point it's going to go down a little bit.
Okay, next 2 questions are about drugs. And we'll start with what people believe to be, illegal drugs. And the question is, for Ed first. Are the efforts to eradicate illegal drugs adequate or not? And if not, what more should be done?
Well, that's a good question. If they were adequate, we wouldn't have illegal drugs anymore. But what do? We can eradicate something out of this area. Something's gonna come in behind it. We're gonna have to get retrained and figure out what to look for and then tackle that problem. I don't know. I don't have the answer for it. If what I do know is the drug task force is a very good thing for this area. It's an interdepartmental agency, and if they were to come to me and say, we need help, we're gonna find them the help they need.
Okay, Nate.
I agree with that. Yeah, there's no way to eradicate a drug. You know, we've been fighting the war on drugs for, decades, for a long time in this country. So I don't know if we'll ever get rid of it. But we got to continue doing whatever we can to fight that battle. Our drug task force is a very active group of guys that are out there every day trying to fight the war on drugs. They do a good job with that. And if they need more help, then we'll get it for them. Would I love to add 2 or 3 more people to that task force? Absolutely I would, in a heartbeat. They'd probably be one of the first ones we add to, because if we can reduce the drug problem, we reduce the crime rate overall, because we all know that oftentimes drugs leads to property crime and so forth. So if we could curtail the drug use, we curtail some of that other crime that goes along with it. But we also know that's impractical because of budgetary restraints and so forth. So in addition to the work that's done by the task force, we have 2 canine officers on our department, and they're active out in the community on patrol every day. And last year they had a fantastic year out on patrol and made multiple arrests. I think they were well over 100 arrests for drugs. Is arrest, and again, I ask the same question, is enforcement the only answer? And I go back and say no, that we have to do something else to try and change things. And I believe that that's the education component that is missing, and I've been trying to help with, to improve on. The DARE program, I am former DARE officer, I'm going to defend that to the T, because I feel it's very productive in what it does. And at the same time, we need to figure out a way to get into the middle school and the high school, which we're doing with the heroin panels, but we need to do a little bit more. So again, trying to figure out ways that we can do that, working with different community groups and such to do that. I mean, I had an offer today from a Lions Club. Hey, what do you need money for to help work with the youth? We'll get you some money, whatever you want. So, people are out there, people are interested in that, and we need to engage them to help us fight this battle.
Okay, the next question is about the most commonly used drug, and that's alcohol, and specifically drunk driving. Are drunk driving enforcement efforts adequate or not? And if not, what more should be done? We'll start with Nate this time.
I do think that what we're doing for drunk driving enforcement is adequate. I mean, you look over the last couple of years. One year we had 0 alcohol-related fatalities. Last year we had 1. So we've seen that decrease. And I think it's a little bit to do with enforcement. We're not doing anything different than we have in the years past, but I think it's people are starting to be presented with some options. One of the big things that I'm a huge supporter of is the road crew and the Safe Ride program. And we actually developed a campaign last year, or maybe it was the year before, with a poster showing, you could buy a ride in the road crew for $5, or you ride in the squad car with an OWI and it's going to cost you $1,000. I think it was a very effective campaign because people are utilizing that to make sure they get themselves home safely. And I think that's what's a huge part of it. And I will continue to support them because I believe that we have to get our people home safely because we don't need any more alcohol-related fatalities. We don't need anything like that. We just need people to get home safely.
Okay, Ed.
Yeah, once again, it's adequate until you're affected by it, whether it be through an accident or the family member getting hurt. I agree with Nate that the ride shares seem to be an upcoming thing. Totally support them. But I think our enforcement efforts are very good in this area and will continue.
Okay, one more. Pause. This is kind of like hockey. There's sort of 3 periods.